Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stress Management Workshop by Counsel India. My name is 𝒂𝒏, and I'm a psychologist with Counsel India. So, today we will talk about stress and how to manage it. I want the session to be quite interactive, so all of you can keep putting something or other in the chat box as you wish. We will obviously have a question and answer round at the end of the workshop. You can ask me as many questions as you like. I'll put the end 15 minutes for the same. Other than that, you are always welcome to ask questions in the chat box. So, today we will talk about stress. What do you think? Is life full of stress? I want people to keep putting something or other in the chat box if possible.
Yes, life is full of stress.
Okay. Any more people? Anybody else?
Man, it's depend on situation, how you think. Is it as stressful or is it you making it stressful?
Okay. I want to know as many opinions as I can.
Depends a lot on the environment that you are in.
Okay.
Yeah, basically it's also depends on the environment, how environment we are dealing with.
Okay. Anybody else would like to say something?
I think
I mean, there are so many of issues.
Okay, so yes, our lives are full of stress, and to whosoever who said that the environment is responsible and
Yeah,
the
ma'am,
way we perceive it.
I think sometimes stress is created by the
Can you
society
please switch off
and
your
the
mics? Excuse me, can people turn off their mics because there is a lot of background noise that is coming.
there is
Okay,
net
thank
issue
you. Yeah.
also.
Yes, so life is full of stress. It's the way we perceive it. It depends upon the environment also. Stress is different for everybody. We all are unique individuals and we experience stress in different forms and in different ways.
I think every day is stressed. What do you think?
It depends upon us. Again, it's the way we perceive it. So, my next question to you all would be: is stress useful?
Sometimes it is. If you are using
Yes,
it
ma'am.
as,
Sometimes it is useful. Like,
yeah, if you're using it as an opportunity, if you're using your anger in a more positive way to pursue
sometimes the opportunity
sometimes
is time bound. So if we take stress in that limited time period, of course, it's beneficial for us.
So stress is in two parts. So it is positive you're taking or it is negative. So it depends on us.
The question is it useful? My question is not the types.
Ma'am, this basically depends on them person to person.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there are few people, who can, ma'am, basically cope up stress, ma'am, you can say, ma'am, very easily. And while, ma'am, there are few people who feel depressed during stressful situations. So, ma'am, this depends on person to person, how they perform in stressful situation.
According to me,
That is
I don't
also
think
right.
so.
Yeah.
Stress is positive. Stress is not anymore.
Yeah, it depends on how we react on the situation, particular situation.
Ma'am, according to me, if it's like for the short term, then it's good. But if we are taking it for a long time, then
It
it's
can create
harmful for us.
anxiety, depressions, and all.
If it is for the short term, then it can be useful.
Okay. So we'll go step by step, and today all we are going to talk about is stress. So my first topic would be understanding stress. So what is stress? What do you think is stress? Can I have some answers?
And
Yeah,
totally
when you found anything that is not going according to your plans, according to whatever you,
Hmm.
so maybe these situations, these conditions create stress to a person.
Okay.
And when the
What
things
else?
are not in your control, when the things are not under control, then the symptoms, then the surrounding cause this stress. Which means then when you can't handle something by yourself in a
Family
certain
stress,
way.
relationship stress, cultural stress, it can depend on the
Okay.
situations.
So
I
when we
believe
talk
that
about, okay, go on.
Ma'am,
stress
when we
is
find
stress.
something difficult, the at that moment the mental level, like the type of worry we have, that causes stress.
Mhm.
That is mainly a stress. When we find
So
something difficult,
I won't exactly talk in terms of like how a
Um,
doctor would respond to the question of
uh,
stress, but when it
stress
comes to
can be said
stress,
in a single word. It can be defined as an internal response of chemical disbalance, or we can say it is our internal response to a discomfort situation.
yes.
Chemically internal response.
So in a very layman language, I would like to put
Ma'am,
this
it
whole
is
session today.
basically, ma'am,
Yeah,
overthinking.
this is going to be a very, I mean, standard language. So it
Yeah.
is better
So stress.
if it would be in a layman language.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
basically, stress
So
is, ma'am, basically overthinking.
can I speak
Basically,
now?
ma'am, stress is a type
Thank
of
you.
pressure or anxiety we feel when we can't handle a situation or we can't deal with the
Okay.
situation.
So basically, stress is the natural and normal response of the body to a very challenging or a very demanding situation. Like when our environment is challenging enough and when it's demanding, it's the body's way of reacting to stress. It's the body's way of reacting to that situation. So it's the psychological mechanism that goes on in our body. There are some physiological responses that come out of the body when we are put in a situation. The body gets activated into a fight or a flight mode.
Ma'am, may I ask a
When we talk,
question, please?
yes,
A reaction of body or reaction of mind? I mean,
it's the body's reaction mostly because, see, the mind is also a part of the body. It's not a sole entity.
yeah, you're considering whole as
Yes,
body as
we
a whole.
consider it.
Okay.
Yeah, we consider body as a whole and everything is interrelated. So when we talk about the fact that the physiological response is getting activated, it does mean that when our brain is perceiving a situation as challenging, the body starts creating a very physiological response.
Hmm.
Type Now we'll turn to types of stress. There are mostly two types of stress. One is eustress and one is distress. Eustress is the positive stress, which is mostly there when our exams are happening. Like it helps to motivate us to work harder, do better for ourselves in situations, even though we find challenging. The second type of stress is distress, which is the negative stress, which lowers the mechanisms of the body and it doesn't help much into challenging situations. It does not help us to move through challenging
Yeah,
situations.
it creates all more depressions and anxiety. It turns into the form of depression and anxiety.
See, I'm a psychologist. I would request everybody to not use layman terms like just not use depression and anxiety as layman terms. People get symptoms out of stress which are not depression or anxiety. They are
Okay.
just body's physiological responses.
I think these
Okay.
three
Uh,
are different. Stress, depression, anxiety, all these three are different. What do you think?
they're obviously different. They're related, but again, they're very different. The
Yes.
third portion is sources of stress. So, stress
Ma'am,
can be
screen is
induced
stuck.
through. My screen is stuck. It's okay. I
no, ma'am,
mean,
it's okay. Ma'am, it's
the
fine.
No, no, you are
presentation
moving. Yeah.
the presentation is going on. I would like you guys to focus on the presentation more. Um, the sources of stress is the third portion. See, when we talk about the sources of stress, it is very subjective to everybody. Not everybody perceives situations as stressful. एक situation मेरे लिए बहुत stressful होगी, but it could be entirely non-stressful for somebody else. There are situations which are equally stressful for people, but on different intensities. So, but when we talk about the sources mostly stem from the environment or the factors within. So it could be your personality type that you get stressed in situations very easily. It could be the environment you are into, which could be a very major factor. And when we talk about environment, we talk about everything. We talk about your workplace, we talk about your families, we talk about your peer group, we also talk about the weather. Anything can be labeled as a source for stress. A lot of people get stressed during the summertime, like the mood changes because of that also.
I think
So yes,
most of the mood swings it comes in winter when you don't get proper sunlight, like it is
in
very.
in in European countries, yes, the sun doesn't shine. It causes a major problem for people there. There, the depression index is actually quite high because of the weather.
Yes.
But that is not exactly, I would say, stress, but it's also, it does inculcate a little bit of it.
Like you mentioned, in summers we get stress, but why like in
Sometimes
summer?
some people who get sweaty and who feel the itch, who get dehydrated, they do find
Yeah, due
summer
to high
stressful.
temperature. Okay.
Yeah, again, it depends on person to person. So
Person to
whatever I will
person,
be
obviously.
speaking today is quite generalized. I am trying to cover up all the different aspects of it, but people do feel stress in different ways. We cannot just label stress as a fact that okay, if you're stressed, all these things would happen.
If a person
So
got
then,
stressed easily, very easily, and he
hmm,
reacts anxious in very small things also. So
hmm,
what we can say the situation of the person, mental
we
situation of that person.
we can't just, again, there has to be other factors that we need to consider before. See, I will always talk as a professional, and even in
Yes,
personal
ma'am.
life.
Actually, I'm also very. I mean, it's very lovely to talk to you because I'm also studying psychology, and yeah, studying human behavior, how human reacts, and so that's why it's going to be very interesting for me.
Yeah, so you need to consider all the factors in your mind. You cannot just think that, okay, a person is getting anxious in every situation, so we could label them as being a stressful personality. It is not like this. There are
Yeah.
various things that happen, and that is true that we have to consider all the other factors also. So, my next topic is recognizing the signs of stress. See, when we talk about stress management, it is very important that self awareness is there. Once self awareness is there, it would be easy for you to understand the symptoms and signs of stress. I am talking here about your stress, like your personal stress. If you know that, okay, I am in a certain situations, I am fumbling a bit, or I'm shaking a bit, or my body is getting sweaty, my heartbeat is racing, you can easily understand those symptoms. And if you're getting those symptoms, this means that you are stressed. You've seen a lot of kids who just puke and vomit in their exams. Some kids catch fever. Those are the signs of stress, that the child is quite stressed about the fact that he or she is about to give an exam. So when it comes to yourself, it is important to be quite aware about what is causing your stress and the symptoms of stress. Uh, on a, I'd say, global level, or when we talk about people, how to see the signs of stress in people, again, there are 4 5 things which physiologically are visible, so you can understand maybe that person is feeling stressful, and that would only happen if you're able to understand your stresses as well. So if you start from yourself, it would be easier for you to understand other people's stressors. So anybody who is going into the health psychology line, or anything related to the mental health or just health, for example, before understanding other people, it is quite important to understand yourselves in order to see that yes, we are able to see what is happening with the other person too. So
Yeah,
everybody,
like there is running of thoughts in my head all the time, like daytime, nighttime. So much thoughts going on. So I'm not getting rid
that's
of
a
it.
Ma'am, can we
But
take questions at the end because then we'll not finish the
yeah, yes. And please, can we just put all these questions related to stress management only? The other questions I would be very happy to answer, but you can always contact Counsel India for that. We can always help you out. So I would like all of you to reflect on your own stress indicators. You can take a pencil or a paper and just write like 5, 6 stress indicators that you feel are present in you, and I can ask those at the end of the workshop. So you can write some stressors. Try thinking about them while we are having this workshop. I'm sure you'll recognize 2 or 3 for sure. Okay, so the next is impact of stress on health. There are a lot of researches that are going on, and by a lot, I actually mean a lot of research going on the fact that how stress hampers your health. If the stress is not good for you, like if you're going into distress, it has a lot of physical and psychological effects. In a lot of cases, it is seen that people develop a really bad immune system because of having and dealing with stress all the time. Some people develop a very sick stomach. They have gut problems. They get acidities. They vomit. All these are the physical effects of stress. And when it comes to psychological, it could be like they're crying every moment they are shown some stressful situation, or if they are put into some stressful situation, people are not able to, their body's reaction is not exactly fight or flight. It turns completely into a biological form, which is very difficult to deal with. Like the person physically starts feeling pain when they're stressed. You might have heard from a lot of people they get migraine headaches or they get severe back pains. All these things are the results of stressors in our life and the way we handle stress. The link between the stress and health has been a topic of research quite a while now, because a lot of people are getting sick and they go to the doctors, but doctors are not able to find out why the person is getting the issue. And by doctors, I mean general physicians and other people also, even heart specialists and other doctors basically. They're trying to understand that why are people feeling this stressed and having so many health problems. A lot of cardiovascular patients uh, are getting heart attacks and heart issues because of the fact that they have been stressed their whole lives. There's a personality type called type A personality, and they're prone to getting heart conditions. And this is because they're always stressful. They're always on the run. They always want to get their work completed really quickly. And because of that, the body gets into a very stressful mode. I have heard, I won't say I've heard also, but my school teacher, when I was studying psychology, she told me that a lot of people develop cancers because of stress also. There are cells in our body that are cancer cells and they get activated because of stress. So there is a major link between stress and health condition. The more pressure you put in here, the more it will take on your body. Brain also has a limit. Once its limit is completed, it will start sending the stress to the rest of your body parts. So let's come to the major discussion that we are here for, which is stress management techniques. So the first technique we're going to talk about is relaxation technique. Relaxation techniques are the techniques that help our mind uh, and body to calm down, to slow down a bit, uh, a little differently from what we generally do in our lives when we are sleeping. So, relaxation techniques involve deep breathing. When we talk about deep breathing, it means that we are trying to be present in the moment and trying to understand how our breath works. Positive muscle reaction again is a form of JPMR. JPMR is a strategy in which what we do is we we count from a certain number, and then there is a we taken a lot of stress in our different parts of the body, and when we release it step by step. So it's a different technique. Psychologists do it all the time with a lot of patients having anxiety or depression and even major disorders, we do try to give patients JPMR because it's a very important relaxation technique. The second one is mindfulness and meditation practices. Mindfulness, I am very fond of this topic. I don't know why. It is mostly because mindfulness is the easiest of all. When I say the easiest of all, I mean that it is available everywhere and in everything. You can do mindful listening, you can do mindful olfaction, which is smelling things, mindful eating, mindful walking, and mindful art. Mindfulness is basically being present in the moment, being fully aware of your surroundings, and doing exactly what you want, but without judgment, with complete awareness, and with complete positivity. Mindfulness does include deep breathing also, and other meditation practices as well. So it's a good way to basically relax yourself. It takes time to develop these mindful habits, but again, if taught properly and if learned correctly, practiced regularly, you can always develop a good sense of mindfulness in you, which would always help you out in stressful situations as well. Physical exercise and its stress reducing benefits. Physical exercise is always advised to everybody. If you do not have the time to do it, I'm not asking you to go to the gym and be really fit and just sweat yourself out. I'm not asking that. I am just saying that you can do a good amount of physical activity with your body within half an hour of span as well. You can go for a nice walk, you can do good level of brisk walking, just a little bit of aerobics, dance, anything is possible. But it just should be movement, a good movement of your body. When we do physical exercise, a good amount of hormones get released in our body. I don't want to take medical terms, so I don't want to talk about what kinds of hormones and what happens in the system. But yes, good level of anti-stress hormones, I'll call them, they get developed, and then it's very easy for you to deal with situations. I'm not saying it's a one-day process. It takes time. Again, it takes practice, and it has a lot of benefits. Time management and prioritization strategies. Time management is what a lot of people in today's world are dealing with. The reason is basically we are not able to make the right kinds of timetables, we are not able to balance life out. Those That balancing has to be there. If the balancing is not there, you will come into a state of burnout. A burnout is a state in which your body is in so distress that it completely stops working. And when I say it stops working, it does mean that it just doesn't want to get up in the morning also and go to work, or even just go to the washroom, I'd say. The next thing is prioritization strategies. When I talk about prioritization strategies, it means that you need to put what you want and what you don't want into the right steps. If you don't do that, basically, uh, we are not giving importance to the things that really need importance, and then we're doing the other way around for everything else. The last one is healthy lifestyle habits. Healthy lifestyle habits conclude everything. It includes all of these points mentioned above also. But again, a good sleep is a very necessary thing that has to be there in a healthy lifestyle. 8.5 hours to, I guess, 9 hours of sleep is very important. I personally would like to talk about myself. I would skip a meal to just sleep, and that is because I know how sleep is important to me and how much it helps me to be really fresh and give my work a good level of quality. Nutrition is also, yes, super important. If you don't eat good food, obviously our mind's not going to work. The gut and brain are completely related. If you are giving it good food, it's going to give out good results. So whatever you if you put garbage inside, it will not give you the right results. You have to put nutritious food full of nutrients, like proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, everything together. um, Time management and prioritization, physical exercise, stress reducing benefits. I would, I vouch for these things because I do practice them every day. If there are stressful situations around me, I do really work on myself, and I do take out the time to do these bits, even if it's for like 15 minutes, just to not break that habit. You can always run to the nature if you want. The nature is always there for you to lower your levels of stress, rush the adrenaline to your body, and for you to be balanced out, even if the situation is stressful. These are all the things. See, you can also listen to music, you can go for a nice walk, you can give yourself a nice spa day, you can shop, you can garden, you can put water in flowers, you can bake, you can cook, you can chop. All these things are just little things and techniques that help you to have a very, I'd say, a life in which you're easily going through. Right? You can read, you can journal. The little things that do help you develop a good sense of lifestyle. So, coping with stress is another issue that a lot of people deal with. There are different strategies to coping with stress. There are emotional strategies, there are cognitive strategies, there are behavioral strategies. When I talk about the word cognitive means anything that is related to our brain, basically, the thinking process, the decision making, the planning, the experimenting, everything happens due to these cognitive setups set in our brains, which is mostly there in the frontal lobe of our brain. So when I talk about cognition, it is basically when related to stress, it is talk of, can you please shut down your mic, whosoever it is? It's quite disturbing. So, cognitive reframing and challenging negative thinking patterns. Cognitive reframing means that you have a set pattern of thinking which is not giving you the right results. So, what you will do is you will instead differentiate your negative thinking patterns, or I'd say unhealthy thinking patterns, into healthier ones, which is called cognitive reframing. Yet, like, it's, if you think in a particular way, you will try to be very open to everything. You know, it's like a person, a man, I'd say, a Indian, typical Indian household man who is around 45, 50 years old. He has a fixed setup. Okay, things would happen my way or things would happen this way. For them, it's very important to change their cognitive thinking styles and reframe them, because it would only help them to have a less stressful life. Otherwise, everybody's always going to be on their head and they will not be able to develop good relationships with their, I'd say, family or relatives. And challenging negative thinking patterns. So, thinking patterns are of various kinds. I'll give you a very easy example, which is the black and white thinking style. The black and white thinking style is that either you're thinking something is right entirely or something is wrong entirely. I know a lot of us have a sense of right and wrong, which is obviously it should be present, but there is always a lot of gray area that is there, which we forget. When I talk about gray area, it doesn't mean that I'm saying that कोई सही है या कोई गलत है. What I mean is that there are always a lot of factors in between the right and wrong. There are a lot of factors in between the black and white. So the older we grow up, I'd say, and even if we are in our teenage years, we should be developing this sense of grayness in our thinking patterns, that things cannot just be left or right. So that is an example of a negative thinking pattern. And cultivating a positive mindset and self-talk. Cultivating a positive mindset means being quite optimistic. A pessimist cannot go through life in the way an optimistic can. I am not saying that just think so positive as if nothing ever wrong is going to happen to you. Things go wrong, things happen, but having a positive mindset always helps you to think through a little clearly. It helps you to see on a very long term goal rather than a short term goal. It helps you to be positive and optimistic even in situations you think you can't make through. And once you start doing that, as a whole, you become a very positive individual. And self talk. Oh, self talk is super important. People would say that, are you mad you're talking to yourself? It is not like that at all. If we can, we should always give ourselves a good span of 5 to 10 minutes to develop some self-talk. Nobody is our best critique than ourselves. We should ask ourselves some questions. We should always critique ourselves, ask ourselves if you're doing things wrong, not like every day on a very regular basis or every minute, but just like maybe by the end of the day or by the end of the week, just to analyze if you're doing things right or not. And then we can always go forward with what we believe is going in the right direction or not. Building resilience and adaptive thinking. Building resilience means that we are becoming strong enough and we are making our mind resilient enough to take in whatever kind of stress the environment or people are throwing away at us. Adaptive thinking is a part and parcel of resilience only, that once we are making our thinking patterns in a way in which they're adaptable, so we can be resilient also. So you have to make your thinking pattern so open. The open mindedness has to be there in order to adapt to situations and people and things. The next thing is coping with stress and emotional strategies, emotional awareness and regulation techniques. Emotional strategies would be one of my very favorite strategies because I am an emotional person and I know it. So being emotionally aware is quite important for me to deal with situations. And when I understood that my emotion could be my biggest strength also, so I started being more emotionally aware. I know when to use it, where to put it, how to put it, and that comes with practice and being aware of your emotions. Start understanding yourself. The deeper connection you have with yourself, the better you can respond to anything in life. Regulation techniques are also, they're quite easy. See, everybody have their own subjectively present regulation techniques. Like my technique is very simple. If I have gone through, for example, a major breakup, I'd say I would give myself 3 days to cry as much as I want. But on the fourth day, I would get out of my bed and do whatever the hell I want. I will be sad, but I won't be breaking down completely. The second step would be expressive writing or journaling as an emotional outlet. A lot of people, uh, it's easy for them to, when they're writing, they're actually pouring their heart out. Even it's not a writing competition, even if you're bad at it, just write it down. If something's wrong, there's nothing wrong happening in that. Like you can just pen down your emotion or pen down what you're feeling, and you can just get through with that in a better way. Seeking social support and building a strong support network. See, we humans are sociable beings. We need people around us. We need social support. We need family. We need friends. Yes, we are quite independent and we should always be independent. But having a social support always we have a sense of, I think, achievement. It gives us a sense of emotional security, and it does help us to deal with situations. Knowing people around us are also dealing with the similar kind of situations, so it gives us a boost as well. Before skipping on to this, I want to ask, is everybody
Could you please
understanding
go back to
whatever
the
I'm saying?
previous slide? Could you please go back
uh,
to the previous slide?
okay.
Lighting is done.
Yes, ma'am.
Is everybody understanding everything? Can I move on to the next slide now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
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 ma'am.
for sure, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes. So seeking professional help. Seeking professional help is necessary, of course. I am a psychologist. I would never say no to the fact that you should not seek professional help. Um, Professional help is necessary when you are experiencing situations in which you are not able to get through in the right manner. The moment you feel that yes, something is going off and I am not able to function that well, you can always ask for professional help. There are counselors, there are therapists, there are clinical psychologists, there are group therapists. There are people out there to help you. Do not shy away from asking for help, even if you think it's the most minor of the things. You never know how the minor things can affect you in the longer run, and how you might feel that they would, you know, you won't be able to deal with them in the right way sometimes. So you do ask for professional help. And in the era we are living in today, help is easily available. Don't shy away from it. Go through with help if you need it. Professionals are there to help you. They won't take in your problems. Nobody is going to live your life for you, but they will, yes, definitely help you to move forward in your life and deal with the emotional roller coasters of life in a more soother way as compared to what you would be doing otherwise. So this is just a stat that I mentioned, that 9 out of 10 people find practicing mindfulness help decrease their anxiety. 8 out of 10 say that claim mindfulness contributed to their overall well-being. So yes, all these practices and techniques, they do help, and they're free of cost. Yeah, you don't have to just pay for having a good mindful meal or a good mindful walk, I'd say. There are a few books that I've mentioned. You can always read these books in all, for all those people who like reading. You can always go through these books and understand how stress can be reduced and what is stress and how you can, you know, deal with it in a better way. One is Be Calm by Weber. The upside of stress is also very good because it makes you look at stress in a very positive manner and not in a completely negative manner. It also helps you to, even if you have a distress kind of a situation, how to turn it into a positive side as well. Okay, so I'm leaving the last 20 minutes for question answers because I know that a lot of you have a lot of questions. I just want you to guys to go step by step and turn by turn. I am here to answer as many questions as you want, and yes, you have 20 minutes.
So first, please answer this one. Like I asked earlier, also overthinking. I always think a lot, and thoughts continuously go in my mind. Whether I am
Does those thoughts, like, do they hamper your lifestyle?
even like I am watching your workshop, even then thoughts go in my head of past, future, all the time.
See, it's your mind. Obviously, there's a good motor that is inside it. I'd say it's running on a quite high speed. You can always try these mindful practices that I've mentioned. You can always learn them, how to do them, and then you can practice them slowly and steadily. You will understand how your mind relaxes, and you will be able to soothe it and calm it down in situations like these. See, in daily life, I will never ignore the fact that okay, people do overthink, people do get a lot of thoughts in their head, but the right people know when to stop those thoughts. They know that if yes, I am in a situation where I need to focus, they will focus. One thing you can also do is, which helps me a lot also, you can do crosswords, you can do sudoku, you can do mandala practices. All these things help you to just be there in the situation, calm your systems down, because then you're focusing completely on that thing. Try doing more crosswords and sudokus and mindful practices. I think they would definitely help.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a
If I'm talking about myself,
Okay.
so I'm also kind of a very emotional person and very sensitive person. I sometimes cries too easily, and so sometimes it's very irritating for me also, because I found that yeah, nobody is caring who I'm crying and cribbing, but sometimes it's very depressing for me.
Okay, see, being an emotional person is never a wrong thing. It's just that your emotion should never cross the boundaries where it is turning into a disorder situation, first of all. Second, emotions should always be used. Like, you should know that your emotions are your biggest strength and your biggest weakness also. So you need to understand what is triggering you, first of all, why things are triggering you. Understand like the whys and the whats of the situations.
Actually,
Understand
ma'am, frankly, truly speaking, I have
the,
some family issues. मैं वहाँ रहती हूँ, but मैं वहाँ हूँ नहीं. So it is a big difference. I mean, आपका किसी के साथ होना और किसी के साथ रहना, it's too different.
see, I
Yeah, there
understand
are
that.
some,
Again,
yeah.
I know that.
And
See, I
same
totally
time, Yeah, same time I
personal
got some
questions.
career
Yes.
issues and some relationship issues also. So it's become a very tough situation for me to handle myself.
Again, you can always ask for professional help. You can always go to a psychologist or a good therapist for yourself if you're saying there are a lot of issues that you're struggling with right now.
Yeah,
You can,
because while since from childhood, I see so many of traumas. I saw my upbringing is done between the violence, so much of violence. So that is a fit in my mind. I mean,
so
before,
see, yes, I won't label the situation, whatever you're saying, I won't say they're stressful. I'd rather say that because of a longer traumatic time that you have been seeing throughout your childhood,
yeah,
there are certain bodily responses that you already have in you. Like the
obviously,
moment the smallest of the smallest thing occurs, you do cry. I completely
yeah,
get that. But for in order to address all of these things, I would say that you should be going to a therapist. It's always your call. But yes, that would be the right part to it.
yeah. I try meditation, but ma'am, sometimes it's very stressful for me. I sometimes I don't know how to handle all the stress. I just sit
See,
quiet and
meditation doesn't work for everybody.
yeah,
When we prescribe all these, I won't say prescribe, when we suggest all these things to people,
yeah,
they basically are trials and test methods that, okay, some things do help a lot of people. What I do in my session, sometimes I do like to test whether a certain kind of meditation is helping the individual or not. If the individual there and then within those 5-10 minutes is telling me that yes, I was feeling calm, then I know that this strategy would work on this individual. But if it's the opposite way around, I would completely forget it and I will do something which is more creative for that individual.
yeah.
So again, I'd say go for professional help if you really
I mean,
think that
I
is.
do dancing, I do painting, as if you say mandala art. I do painting also, I do dancing also. I love music also, but sometimes it doesn't work for me.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If the situation is
Yeah,
serious, you should always
yeah.
consider seeing a professional. Any other people?
Ma'am,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have one doubt. Actually,
Yes.
I'm a practitioner psychologist as well as special educator. So
Okay.
just have a little concern or a little doubt that do a
Hmm.
preschooler kids also have a stress? Sometimes they have
Yes.
anxiety to get separated from their parents when they start coming in a early age. But does
Hmm.
they have a stress or do they behave something weirdly or do they act something weird due to stress? Is it possible for them?
See, the
Yeah,
development of an individual, I'd say it starts from the time the individual is there in the mother's womb. The development starts from there. If the mother has been going through some stressful issues, it will be reflected on the child when they come out. It is possible that a lot of preschoolers and a lot of small kids do have a lot of separation anxiety. Uh, you would never understand the cause of it, but yes, it is somewhere deep down within the fact that how they are being developed and how they are being raised also. You never know what goes in the family of the child. Maybe the parents are good to the child, but there are issues between the families and relatives, so the child is hearing and listening to that. You don't know how it is affecting the child and in what ways they are affecting it.
Ma'am, I understand. Actually, my concern is it
Hmm.
possible for them to be stressed? Actually, a few of the kids at my
Hmm.
place and my
Hmm.
school, they are acting weirdly. Sometimes their actions are so weird, they acting like a mature person while they are just 2 or 3 years old. So just want to
So
know,
your question is that they're being nice, or they're being good mature people, or they are not acting according to their age. What is it exactly?
ma'am, they are not acting to according to their age, and that
Hmm.
is something which is not good for the child, not being able to act like
yeah.
their age.
Maturity before age
This
is
is why.
a symptom, different symptoms.
Yes, so this is why I just and when I asked their parents, ki, is the same thing happens earlier or at home?
Hmm.
They told
Hmm.
me lot of time that doctor says कि ये stress की वजह से होता है. Is it possible for a preschooler to be stressed? This is just
Definitely, definitely. See, we are evolving. मतलब अगर हम monkeys से आज तक यहाँ तक evolve हुए हैं, तो it does mean that our DNA keeps changing. There are a lot of studies that also show that children from every generation, the children that are coming into this world, they are quite evolved in different manner. They're not only tech savvy, but yes, they're also mature, I'd say. मतलब matureness का मतलब I won't say ये होगा कि they would be taking the right decisions, but sometimes you will hear them saying things which are so out of the blue. It is also because the children that you are maybe you're talking about, they are being raised in environments where they have elder siblings, or where there are parents who are quite emotionally matured, that they're having very serious conversations in front of the child. So you can always see that the child is feeling a certain sense of, that they are elder people. It could be that you can never ignore the fact that the child cannot be stressed. For reducing the stress, yes, you can do a lot of things with them. You can get them into play therapy. You can put them into, kindergarten schools where they're seeing a lot of other kids playing. You can always have a lot of play time with them. Play therapy and play time is very important for those kids with stress. उनको crayons दे दो भर के, let them scribble all whatever they want. You can give them blocks. You can give them as much as good play that they actually require.
Yeah, I do the same. And thank you so much for the concern.
मेरा
Ma'am,
एक
my
question
question
I
is,
have.
Hello.
ma'am, can I ask a question?
Where this
Hi, ma'am. My question is that as someone who is still trying to find the purpose and is just struggling to understand how exactly they should combat adulthood, how do you proceed that way? Because my constant stress is that
Can
how
you
do
please
I understand
repeat?
adulthood? Yeah, my constant stress is that how do I understand adulthood? So the problem
your
is, as
stress
someone
is
who has been
okay.
born and brought up in a very controlled way, so that for example, when you have a very controlled upbringing where parents have been monitoring your studies every now and then, and suddenly you want to escape all of those foundations, want to live in a hostel, leave your family, and try to grow on your own. I have been doing that since the last 12 years. I still don't know what I want to do in life. I'm 28. I'm still trying to find a purpose. What do I want to do? What do I have to do? I'm still not able to understand that. So for people who are trying to find out stress, not because of a small occasion or not because from stress that is derived not from a small happening or a small indicator, but it's an accumulated stress for so many years. How do we manage that stress?
See, I cannot give you a quick fixed solution to that because obviously
Definitely, I understand that. Yeah, definitely
you've been
understand that.
raised in a certain kind of environment. But if I could like give you a little brief
Just to
about
add,
it.
just to add a bit more thing
Hmm.
there. Uh,
Hmm.
so this has so I have observed that it has impacted me that I started smoking, I started drinking, I did not look into my health. I became obese, and now I'm severely obese to a point
Hmm.
where it has started to affect my health as well.
Hmm.
So now I'm trying to get back into line and trying to reverse all of that. So but there is no motivation to go for it because you always keep on bouncing back to the old things. So I want to understand how do you manage stress in that way.
See, the briefest way possible I can tell you is that first of all, there is a sense of self that is missing because of the controlled environment that you have been brought up in. There's a sense of self that is missing, which is the major reason for what you're not able to identify what you really wanted to do in life. So the first step and the foremost step would be to identify the self. When I talk about the self, it means to develop your self confidence, to develop your self esteem, to understand yourself in a way that what do you like, how do you like it, your skills, your passions, your ambitions, you have to recognize them. The
Okay.
easy way to do, there's no easy way to do that basically, but what you can do is you can always make a good flow chart of the things you like. You can just write like one single word on a piece of paper, and then keep adding the words that are related to it, and then a
Okay.
good
What?
flow chart. Yeah, word association basically. And then there would be a good table that is right there in front of you, and then you can always highlight the themes that are common. So once you highlight the themes that are common, you will be able to understand what you like as a whole. There are
Okay.
so many things to do right now in this world we live in. We can become anything and everything we want, and in the further years it's going to be easier that way to become the people that we really want. But in order to really do that, we have to actually identify who we are.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
मेरा क्वेश्चन
Ma'am,
था
Ma'am,
my
just
कि
a
question is
किस
how to
की वजह
deal
से
with.
question.
stress आता
Can
है?
I just? Hello.
Ma'am, my
Okay,
question
मैं
ma'am,
is,
पूछना चाहती हूँ जैसे
Can you
रिलेशनशिप की वजह
let
से
one
भी
ma'am,
person talk at one time?
okay,
ma'am,
ma'am.
it's Nidhi
Actually,
here.
I just want to know the solution. If you are in a kind of situation where you're getting angry and you cannot actually control your anger, the time you're aware that you should not react on the level 10, but you're reacting
Hmm.
very intense. Okay, and
Hmm.
even in the situation you are aware that you shouldn't be this much aggressive, but you cannot control it, and you just do it, you repeat it again and again, even if you know that you have to fix it, but still the time the situation occurs, you behave the same, and after that all of a sudden you just regret that you shouldn't behave the way you actually did. So I mean, what exactly should I do when I'm just getting so much aggressive? I'm just impulsive in no time. And even if I'm aware, like I should fix it, but still I cannot do it. What exactly I should be, I mean, what should be in my mind at the time I'm just getting angry, just losing my temper?
See, the first step would always be that you should have a good insight into why you're getting angry and what are you getting angry for. Once you understand that, yes, those are my triggers and these are the things that happen to me while I'm angry, I think those two steps you have completed, right? Like you know why you're angry and what is making you angry. You
Yes,
know that.
but the thing is, sometimes the reason is not that bigger, but still I
Hmm.
react, and that's of course I feel that this is becoming a kind of habit for me. That I this is how I respond, and I
It's
don't
a
know what
very
to
good
say, but
thing that you are understanding the fact that, okay, something is wrong and this is not going in the right direction. So you can always do all those activities that I mentioned earlier in the workshop about how to deal with those stressful situations. And see, even if the anger is always a response to something. So when you're stressed, you can be angry. So if you start following all those things that I've told you earlier, just like physical exercise, meditation, mindfulness, or a good amount of creative thinking and art like mandalas or crosswords, you can always develop a sense of, calmness, and which would really help you. But you have to be quite consistent with it. You have to understand that if you think that it's a one night process, it's not. I don't know your
so
age, but
if I say that I need a distraction, and the things you told me to do, that's a kind of
yeah,
distraction.
it's not a
The
distraction. See, distractions are like that if you're in a false mood, you're going for a movie. That's a distraction. But these activities that I'm telling you, they are something which are positive enough to be there in your lifestyle so that you are not doing all those things you're doing. See, being angry is a very natural response. Anger is an emotion, it has to be present in us. A person who is not angry may be just bottling things up or suppressing things up, and they will burst out one or the other day. So anger is important. It's a very important emotion, but how to use it and where to use it is important. So you need to, that's why, have the right sense of identification on how to balance it out. There's just 3 minutes left. Can I take on more questions?
Ma'am,
क्या
how to
वो
deal
तो
with
आप
the
Myself,
माइंड से
positive
Jamish.
thinker turns to
स्ट्रेस
be
को कैसे हैंडल
overthinker?
कर
Hello.
सकते हैं?
Guys, relax. I
Ma-
mean, one person at a
Ma'am,
time.
yeah,
Hello.
ma'am,
May
मैम
I?
मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ
ma'am,
जैसे स्ट्रेस है ना, जैसे वो हम उसे रिलेशनशिप, जैसे हम लव रिलेशनशिप में है
Hmm.
तो उसमें
Hmm.
कैसे हैंडल कर सकते हैं अपने स्ट्रेस को, मतलब जब उसमें आता है, लाइक अगर
देखो,
आपका पार्टनर
आप पूछ रहे हो लव, तो होता ही है। यू डू केयर अबाउट द अदर इंडिविजुअल, यू उनकी हर
तो
छोटी सी
बहुत
बड़ी चीज से
बहुत
आपको अफेक्ट
ज्यादा हो
पड़ता है।
जाता है, लाइक आप बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेस ले लेते हो, आपको उसका मैसेज भी नहीं आ रहा तो भी आप स्ट्रेस हो जाते हो, लाइक बहुत छोटी छोटी बातें बहुत हर्ट
See,
करती
that's
हैं।
ma'am, I
not
have a general
exactly.
question.
Yeah, that's I mean that's a
Yeah,
little
ma'am,
different
how to deal
question.
with a person who turned from
Hmm.
a positive thinker to a overthinker in a short span of time?
From a positive thinker to an overthinker.
Yeah.
We need to cut their habit, and we basically need to use cognitive reframing with that. We have to cut the portions where they are questioning themselves on everything. An overthinker is always someone who's asking a lot of hows and whats about things and people around them.
Yeah.
So we have to switch
Hello.
them into the positive restructuring zone more so that they
Okay.
can cognitively filter out what they're doing and how they're doing.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am.
may I?
Yes.
Ma'am, myself, Jamish. I'm taking
Hmm.
treatment for the depression since
Hmm.
last 1 year.
Okay.
Actually, I got married to a girl which was
Hmm.
earlier bit normal,
Hmm.
but I came to know that she has a problem of gamophobia. So
Hmm.
she usually switches to the another one in certain period of time.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it happened with me too. I haven't
Hmm.
seen my child since 1 year. She is just 1.5 year old,
Hmm.
and she used to put it put her in babysitting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
Now I'm worried about her future as she wasn't good enough to serve her time during the she was on mother feeding. She
Hmm.
always respected uh, her own self only. She
Hmm.
didn't wanted to feed the child. She
See a
currently she's
person with a see a person with a major psychological difficulty would always be somebody who's quite concerned about themselves. From what you're telling me, she has got germophobia, which obviously means that, and the way you're telling me, it is on a high level for a person who is having germophobia. Even to have a child and l- letting them breastfeed is very difficult for them because they would feel that the child is carrying bacteria. You have to understand a patient in a way that they are actually people who are suffering from something. You cannot just say that she has done everything wrong because she's having a certain kind of problem. She personally is going through a lot. Yes, she is a mother, and of course, she has to take care of her child and her baby, which should be her most priority. But here we are not dealing with somebody whose mind is functioning on a normal mother level. It is functioning on a
the
different level.
problem is that she is not germophobic. She is gamophobic actually. So
Gamophobic, you said.
yes, yes, and her entire family supports us too much. And I mean, I would not have that courage
See,
to tell them
that's a very personal issue. I don't think
yes,
it would be appropriate
but
to discuss it in
my
front of everybody.
okay, because I'm dealing so much darkness in my head right now. So
You can always
since
see all
I'm
those.
taking the
Mm-hmm,
medication.
hmm,
Recently, I'm on medication,
hmm.
but since last 2 months, it is very difficult for me to wake up in the morning before 10 or
You should,
10:30.
I think if you're taking medication, you can always consult your psychiatrist and ask her to lower the dose down, or you can ask her that why is my sleep schedule getting a bit weird. See, nothing can see if you're taking medicines, I can always advise you to do natural things, but you need to talk to your doctor about it because they are the ones who are giving you the medication.
Yes, it takes if I sleep early at 10
Hmm.
p.m.
Hmm.
Eventually it takes 2:30 to 3:30 a.m. in the morning to let me
You
have
need to
that
ask
sleep.
them. Maybe they'll ask you to either lower down the mg of the medicine or they will ask you to take it earlier than you usually take it.
And how to control the overthinking about thinking of my child
The
constantly.
See, I've mentioned everything earlier in the workshop. You can always consider all those practices very useful for anything of this sort. The Zoom meeting is going to end. I have to stop
Ma'am,
it anyway.
ma'am, I have a question last.
Ma'am, I have a very simple question. How do, as a psychologist, when you take
Hmm.
so much stress from other people, how do
Hmm.
you release your stress?
How do I release my stress, or in
Yeah,
general, how do
yeah,
psychologists
no, no,
release
yeah,
stress?
yeah. In general, ma'am, in general, like as a psychologist or as a counselor, when so many people come to us with so many people, right now within 1 hour, you saw so many people coming up with so. How does you make it not affect yourself? That's the only question I have.
See, being a psychologist, you are very empathetic and you are compassionate, but
Exactly, exactly.
there is a thin line between taking everything to your own self and then helping people also. There's a very thin line there. So I do take my breaks. I do try to take out a good amount of time for myself. Even though if I don't get time, I do try to do it definitely. I mean, if I've worked for 6 months, I will take a 1 month break just for myself. Nobody's gonna understand that, but I will, and my body will, and my head will. So being a psychologist, I think, yes, you are responsible for people. Yes, you're answerable to your family, but somewhere down the line, you have to put yourself first and your mental health first. Because if you're not going to put your mental health first, you will not advise other people to take care of it, and you will be hypocrite for doing the opposite. So take your spa days, take a good amount of breaks, take good nutrition in you, take good sleep, make a good healthy lifestyle. And yes, being a psychologist is also a part of who you are. It's your work, so I think you should keep it that way. I always tell my family that the moment I come out of a session or come out of the clinic or my workplace, there and then my psychologist role is finished. After that, I can be as dumb or an idiot person I can be.
Ma'am,
Thank you
uh,
so much, ma'am. Thank you.
ma'am, I have a
No
question.
problem.
If a
This is
child,
the last question. I have to end the workshop.
if a child whose age approx like 16 to 19, and he suffer from autism, and he is
Mhm.
also suffer with stress, so how to manage with it? Can you?
See, autistic kids, and in a lot of autistic kids, the stress is always there because they are not able to deal with their social cues easily. They are not emotionally intelligent. There are a lot of things that are happening inside them. It is very, very normal for an autistic child or even a teenager or even an adult to be stressful. All these activities that I said, it's not going to be easier for an autistic child to understand all of them. But if you try कि वो थोड़ा सा मंडाला कर ले, or they can always go for nice nature walks. You should be taking them on various vacations, make them see the outside world, give them a
But
good sense of nature and environment. All these things should be done on a very regular basis. And by regular, obviously, you cannot be going on a vacation regularly, but like maybe in 2 months, you should take them out, make them see new people so that they learn to adapt to their surroundings in the right manner.
but ma'am, because of he is autistic, that's why he can't understand like any cognitive treatment or management, as well as any mandala art and this type of things.
It's okay. I'm not saying that the child has to make a portrait out of that mandala art. They have to scribble. You give them, see, it's a very trial and tested method on autistic kids that you keep giving them things as much as you want, any creative things that you like, they will choose what they like. सारे ऑटिस्टिक बच्चों को सेम चीजें नहीं पसंद होती हैं. किसी को
Yes,
ब्लॉग्स बनाना पसंद होगा, किसी को ब्लॉग्स गिराना पसंद होगा. इट कैन बी इन एनी वे यू वांट. तो आपको उनको जितनी एक्टिविटीज आपके दिमाग में आती है, यू कैन ऑलवेज कीप गिविंग देम एज मच एज यू वांट. दिस सी यू हैव टू कम इनटू द अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट एन ऑटिस्टिक चाइल्ड कुड बी स्ट्रेस्ड. थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है उनको टू अडेप्ट थिंग्स इन सिचुएशंस, बट you have to come in accordance. But if you keep doing all this and उनको थोड़ा सा इन activities में if you will put them, they'll always feel better.
okay ma'am, thank you so much.
Excuse me,
Okay.
ma'am.
That was the
Thank you
last
so
question.
much,
I'm
ma'am.
so sorry. You can always come to the Counsel India email or website and ask as many questions
Ma'am,
as you
just a
want, and you can
small
always
doubt I
connect
wanna
with
ask.
us. I said that's
Just a
the last
small.
question. It's not going to be fair for everybody. I'm
Thank you
so
so
sorry.
much, ma'am, taking your leave.
All
Thank
right,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you for attending this session. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so that you get regular update on more valuable sessions, and visit www.counselindia.com for free ebooks and psychology related learning.